We love hearing good news, and today we're going to hear more of it from Tammy. And she lives in a place called Asheville, which is in North Carolina, which is a Patterson family favorite. It's a beautiful part of the United States. And I was there for the second or third time, I think, a couple of years ago, giving a talk at the University of North Carolina. And it was a place that we've fallen in love with beautiful vegan options and outdoor living. And Tammy has endured rheumatoid arthritis throughout the pandemic in a way that's quite remarkable. She has managed to transform her inflammation levels and get her inflammation under control following the Patterson program. And she's going to tell us about how she did it today and give us details and also share any tips and specifics and emphasis on certain aspects of the program so that you too can improve the way that you're doing it, or maybe get started on it and improve your health as well. Tammy, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. And everyone calls me TJ, so feel free to call me TJ for Tammy Joe.
That is so American, isn't it? To go, I'm TJ. You know, that's just so American. Yeah, I love it. Well, let's go with TJ. It's very endearing.
Oh,
and TJ, tell us, give us the sort of before and after situation. We spoke briefly before this, but I don't have too much detail other than you've got a great story to tell. Give us this quick snapshot before and after in like a minute or so.
Okay. Well, I woke up on July 5th after having a neighborhood gathering, and my feet hurt so badly I could hardly walk. And my husband and I jumped in the car to go to a shoe store, actually, in Greenville, because I thought, well, maybe it's my shoes, and bought lots of shoes, and that, of course, didn't do it. And then my pain just started getting worse and worse. And my doctor had me do blood work, and I was found to have RA factors. So started on 3 different medicines in a series of a short period of time. And nothing was really taking the pain away except if I took prednisone, which they didn't want me to do. And I didn't want to do. So I was pretty desperate one night, and I was laying in bed. I could hardly roll over. I couldn't hardly turn my head or move my arms. Everything hurt so bad. I wasn't suicidal, but I was thinking, I really don't want to live like this. And I'm not that old. You know, I'm just turned 61, so I was 59 then. And I got on the internet because I couldn't sleep because of the pain, and found a person who then linked me to you, Clint. And then I began changing my diet pretty drastically. Didn't feel that hard. It was difficult at times, but within days, I'm saying, I started noticing my pain go away. And I couldn't believe it, so I had to test it that weekend. I said, this can't really be true. So I ate dairy, gluten, and sugar again. And I felt just horrible, almost as if I'd never felt better. So I immediately got back on the food and decided that it was working. And it's been working ever since. My numbers are normal, and it's helped me in other areas of my life as well, not just the RA, but other health issues that I'd had. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Wow. It's it never ceases to surprise me, even though I do have the blessing of hearing it quite often. It's just this remarkable link between the inflammation in our body and the fuel that we're putting into it. And yours is a really exciting case. And so let's go into it with more detail. You started on methotrexate, I believe. So tell us, you mentioned that prednisone you were using, that was the main thing that was working. What went wrong with methotrexate? How come you didn't persevere with that?
Well, I remember when I first was told that I was going to be on it, and I learned that it was used for cancer patients. So I was kind of a little afraid of it, And then I started getting horrible migraines. So I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to take this and then migraine medicine, and it will just build upon, you know. So then they switched me to leflunomide. And my doctor said, if you get any cramps at all, stop taking it immediately. And I immediately got cramps. I mean, like the first day I took them. So then they switched me to sulfasalazine, which I currently take and which my doctor is talking about taking me off of if my numbers continue to be good, which kind of chokes me up a little.
Wow. Yeah. And the leflunomide, just for everyone else's benefit who are listening to this, and this is purely anecdotal, and it's it is common to hear challenges with that medication. I'll just go so far as to say that, and this is purely just anecdotal. Within our support forum, I do probably hear more cases that are challenging cases with that medication than what we hear positive. But that's not to say it's not ideal for some people. I must say that, but it doesn't. You're not the first person to have trouble with that medication. And then the sulfasalazine. Well, that's interesting. Does that give you any side effects, the sulfasalazine, like fatigue?
Well, I mean, I've my energy's increased so much that I do notice that, and I don't know if it's the RA or age or the medicine, but like when I used to clean the whole house and, just keep going, now it's sort of like one room at a time. And then this morning I was saying I'm in the cellar right now, which I'm not usually in my cellar doing this kind of thing, but I cleaned out my half of the cellar. My husband has a half and I have a half. He has a workshop. So I cleaned it. It's just, for me, it looks so great. And I didn't have to stop at all. I have that much energy. I'm sure I'll sleep really well tonight, though.
That's awesome. We've done a great job. The cellar looks beautiful in the background there.
Well, the sulfasalazine did cause me to have a lot of nausea. So my doctor was splitting it up to 1 tablet in the morning, 500 milligrams, and then 2 at night after dinner. So I have to be really careful still to eat food. And I'm a light eater in the morning, so it's a bit of a challenge for me. But the oatmeal kind of fills me up. And then, that helps.
But has that been successful for you? And so you still do that today to reduce the nausea. You split the tablet dosage. That's interesting.
Yes. And then my GP, I didn't know what the most recent nausea was from. So she started me on like a Pepsid, but the type that she prescribes. So something for my stomach in the morning.
Right. Again,
and I think it's because I'm a light eater.
Counteract the nausea from the sulfasalazine.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's providing you with, it's holding your hand as you go through and with all your lifestyle changes, then, it's this sort of, do the benefits outweigh the downsides? And it sounds like at the moment that it does. So let's go now on to the dietary changes, which is where all the excitement lies in our chat.
Yes.
How different was this way of eating compared to what you were doing before?
Well, like I said, the nurse who led me to you, because who I found that desperate night, online, I found her ad which said, I'm an RN with RA. And then she said free consultation. I thought, what have I got to lose? She's an RN, so she's medical. And I had a free consult with her, and she asked me to start juicing celery. And then I said, well, I would like to buy a consult. So I always say my life was changed with $60, because when I got on with her, she said, I want you to stop eating dairy, gluten, and sugar. And I kind of giggled and said, all at once? What will I eat? And my husband even said, but that's your diet. and it wasn't all my diet, but So I was just looking in my book again, and it looks like I worked with her off and on from March until then. I found you. It looks like July. This is ironic because it's July 4th of 2020, a year later. And I started taking notes in my book, Clint Pattison. I have at the top of my page. And I was doing the mantras. I am pain-free. I am med-free. I have energy. And then I was looking at where my pain was: fingers, elbows, feet, and neck. So things were getting better and better. And the diet, she didn't really have a diet to follow. It was a lot of things I would have never been able to eat. So when I found your recipe book, that became my Bible. And shall I share about the other person?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for listeners wondering what this moment is about, we spoke before the recording here about a friend of yours, right, TJ?
Actually, it was I'm a therapist. I'm going to say they, just so there's no identifying. Yep. So yep. They wanted to do this with me. And so I would share. It would really help me reinforce my own program. And slowly, pretty quickly, I should say, stop doing the food, using the recipes. And today, where I am, I feel like I am 95 or more % pain-free. I really do. They are in worse condition than they were a year ago. And what I realized was how difficult it is for many people to make this dietary shift. And that's why probably there are so many people who suffer.
Yeah. I've never said it was easy. Mm-hmm. And so this is a good situation. It's like it's not the case where they do studies of identical twins and then they watch them over their lifetime and watch their patterns and then are able to draw conclusions about things because they've got the same genes and the same birth date and all that. It's not like that, because the two of you and your friend, obviously you have a lot of different biological markers, probably age and your history of eating and genetics and all sorts of stuff, right? However, it does go to show that in this case study of two, there was only a 50% compliance, and your results are remarkable from a medical angle, from virtually any angle. And your friend's results are more typical of RA, which is progressive, degenerative, and goddamn awful. So thank you for sharing that comparison.
Yes. Well, and a really exciting thing that's happened. My first doctor, I remember when at the first appointment, I said, "Is there anything I could do to change my diet?" And he said, "No." He said, "There's really not." And he said, "You could try the Mediterranean diet. That's probably the closest." So, I did do that. Well, now I have a new doctor, and she shared with me that she is a cancer survivor. And so she uses she's made a lot of dietary changes herself. So she's very supportive of what I'm doing. And while she's saying, "Let's work toward getting you off the sulfasalazine," he kept saying, "Can I give you an infusion? Would you like an infusion?" And I would look at him and I'd say, but my diet is changing how I feel, And it was almost as if he didn't listen or hear me. I liked him a lot. He was a great guy, but he'd just say, "Well, we can always do infusions if this doesn't work." And I said, "But I'm getting better. Look at my numbers." It's really an interesting, it's a different. Yeah.
It is. It remains the dilemma of medical profession, just sticking with medical profession training.
Yeah.
And then you've got your other doctor who's had a personal experience, who then offers a I guess, a holistic view to your situation. And
Yes.
it just goes to show that the doctor you're working with plays such a crucial role to your your attitude towards your condition, your treatment plan towards your condition, and just how you feel about the whole situation. The
Yes.
insights that you get from a doctor who's had a personal experience are tremendous. And a cancer survivor clearly knows the importance of nutrition.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. So this has been a very positive change. Um, it it just turned out that he left the city, so I had to find someone new. But that was just, I feel like it was a universal blessing for me. You know,
Wow.
just
Hmm.
meant to be.
Absolutely.
Very happy about that.
So I've got to ask you a couple of questions about tips and tricks and things that you want to share with our listeners that you feel work best for you within the realms of the program. But is there anything else that you want to talk about before we do that?
Well, I sort of overcome with the miracle that my life changed so much. Excuse me. When I look at my notes and all the pain I was having, and when I was sort of going from head to toe, and then today, well, now it's 2 years, but within a year, by changing my diet, it was completely as if I no longer had it. And I was not communicating with you other than through email. So I didn't really know you, never saw you except on podcasts. And I was sending you an email to thank you for helping me from afar and really changing my life and giving me a better future. I felt like I was not going to a good place and was very worried about my career as a psychotherapist and my life. And, I moved to Asheville so I could hike and enjoy this beautiful place. And suddenly I could hardly walk in my own home. So it's amazing the change that food, I say it again and again, food is medicine.
Yeah. Yep. But most of us take poor drugs, don't we? Take poor
Yeah.
medicine,
Yes.
and we need to take the right medicine. And in your case, it's been such a transformation. And for some people who are working as hard as they can and listening to this and saying, "But I am doing all those things and I'm still not making progress." Well, diet is the platform. It's like the concrete slab of the house. You get your diet right. You eat low fat, whole foods, no oils, plant based diet. And then if that only gets you so far, then at least you've got your concrete slab that shouldn't change. And then from there, you can do other aspects of the building of that house. Um, for some people, it is enough to get you to the point that TJ, you have gotten to at the moment. And then you have all the other tools available to you should you need to engage with those as I did, and a lot of other people do. For me, the other big tool is exercise, and that for me is I got to yield that weapon as much as I can for my body and my situation. So, but what you said was beautiful, just so beautiful, and that to be able to utilize the nutrition to reduce inflammation and keep us healthy, and to therefore require the less interventions, whether it be supplements, whether it be uh, medications, to keep those at the minimum. As a result of just eating, which we all have to do,
Yeah.
is a blessing, absolute blessing. Give us some of the TJ tips, as we'll call them, for
Okay.
people who might be looking at the program at the moment or who are doing it. And I want you to emphasize the points that are non-negotiable, that you think you've got to do this.
Yeah. For me, and I do want to touch base on exercise because that was the last thing to come to me. Um, for me, dairy is out of the question. I cannot eat any dairy, and I can tolerate a few of the other two, gluten and sugar, very little, but I just try not to. So, but for me, dairy is 100% off the table. And what my tips are, I kind of eat the same stuff, and I find the stuff I really like. And I really like a bean burrito made with all the right ingredients, the ones that I can eat, and gluten-free, dairy-free. And that is a staple lunch for me every day when I, take a break from my clients. So I I love not having to think about it too much. And prior to this, my husband, well, he is a food writer and he's a really great cook. And so he was making all these unbelievable meals. And then we had to kind of, it was like a screeching halt to some degree. And he's been such a trooper about adjusting. And it's amazing what you can do to adjust, food. Like if you like your potato mashed, you don't have to have all that butter and all those, other things. So he's been just a whiz in the kitchen about that for me. And we have an international food group and we met last night and it was Indian food. So everybody labeled it gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever, because there were some vegans there and it was just lovely. And you just have to be diligent about looking at labels and knowing, tracking how you feel to some degree after you eat something and letting yourself have the good stuff that you really like as often as you want. Like I say, the bean burrito, it sounds so simple, but I love it. It gives me protein. It makes me feel good. My other tips would be, I didn't know it, but I got very low in B12 and D because I was mostly plant-based. And one of the things you can become deficient in are those two things. And luckily I have a great doctor, great GP who caught these things. So I told her I was so fatigued. That was the fatigue, I think, was from the drop in the B12. So now I'm fine. I'm taking those supplements and just being open to talking about what's going on and, not ignoring it, being really on top of it. Like if I wake up and my hands really hurt, then I sort of review what I ate or what I did. Did I use my hands too much? And that sort of segues a little to the exercise. I really had a hard time getting into that part of it. My neighbor moved and sold her brand new treadmill. I bought it for $400. It was like $2,000 and unused, but that's for the cold weather or the rain. And then I'm trying to go out and hike, mostly on flatter paths for now. I'm trying to just ease my way to climbing that mountain again. But, I have to be careful. I'm a little unsure, a little unsteady, but I use the poles when I walk. And that, that keeps me, I feel safer when I do that. And I hooked up with a friend who was recovering from a hip injury. So that was perfect. So we both kind of took it slow. And I'm going to get my bike off the hook over there soon and ride out at the Biltmore. The Biltmore Estate has beautiful paths and keep on moving. That's kind of what I would say is a tip.
Did you use the treadmill a lot or is it just a new acquisition?
It's a new acquisition, literally just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, to sort of wrap this up, we see some consistencies over the success stories, if we want to put them in inverted commas, or those of us who have results to share seem to have some consistent parts of their story. One is great support. Your husband has provided that support to you. He has encouraged you. He has put his own ego aside, being a fantastic chef and being a real expert with food. And he has set aside that expertise and said, I'm going to cook simple and I'm going to set aside all of the luxuries of food and all of the indulgences to make my wife better. Okay, so that degree of support is the sort of thing that consistently comes up with people who have a positive experience with their RA. And then, of course, the diet. And then you've added the exercise and how you've got goals to do more, and you're aware of the need to keep it up and to work on it and to grow your exercise and your abilities to exercise. And your medication management has been good. You're not taking the prednisone anymore, so that drug isn't being counterproductive to your efforts to heal. Sulfasalazine doesn't have any contraindications to being able to improve gut health. There is, it does have an antibiotic component. There is not clarity as to whether that's actually a positive or a negative. And you're not the first person to share improvements, dramatic improvements, whilst taking that medication. And therefore, again, just speaking anecdotally, it's not a drug that's going to get in the way of our efforts to improve our internal health. And you haven't gone overboard on crazy supplements. There's been not like one magic pill that's done this for you. It's been all of the holistic things that you've done. It's been the natural things, mostly the eating in your case. You mentioned the B12, which is part of our program. You need to take a B12. And then the vitamin D, which drops not just for people on a plant-based diet, but I don't recall the exact statistics, but the majority of people are in need to increase their vitamin D levels. So that's something that we have as a worldwide scenario. So those two are really, really sort of, foundational things.
I was going to share, I don't know if you want me to share about my hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I had, I guess in my right hand, I had what's called a ganglion cyst, which is a lump, and it's filled with fluid that's kind of like jello and honey. That's how he described it when he aspirated this hand. Well, right before I changed my diet, I started getting another one on my left hand. And I went in to get it aspirated, and he said, no, the doctor, he said, no, we can't do that. It's on the tendon. He said, we have to schedule surgery. Well, then COVID hit, and nobody was doing minor surgery. I guess they consider that minor. So then I changed my diet, and one day I got an email from that surgery center wanting to schedule the appointment. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's gone. I mean, it literally went away. And I don't know what the deal is. I'm attributing it to the diet because I don't think they go away. I know many people who have them and who have had them for their whole life or many, many years. And so that's what I'm attributing it to, is that my change in my diet. So that was another good side effect. Plus, I didn't tell you this, but my entire family is diabetic. And I had type 2 diabetes as well, very well controlled all the time. Well, now it's out of the range of even diabetes. So now, in addition to going off maybe the sulfasalazine, I'm talking with my GP, I've cut back already I was taking 4 pills. I'm only taking 2, and she's wanting to get me off of that too. So it's not only helped my RA, this diet, it's pretty remarkable. My blood work is amazing. I'll send you a transcript before and after. I'm kidding, but it's nothing short. I feel like a miracle. I know that it's because of the food, but it still feels like, really? Just cutting out dairy, gluten, and sugar, would change all of this, my entire body chemistry.
Yep. It's amazing, It's transformational. The diabetes is not it's not uncommon to come off type 2 diabetes medications when you're on a whole food plant-based diet. Another shout out to my friends over at masteringdiabetes.org, Cyrus and Robbie. We had them on the podcast a little while back. You can find their episode if you'd like to go and check out that interview. They're reporting the situation that you're reporting on a regular basis. So, is it a one diet fits all? Well, it's a human diet. It's a diet that aids, in easy digestion and provides lots of nutrients and doesn't add any of the more offensive sort of foods to the body. So you're going to get the best results that we can within our own limitations of our own body and genetics and stuff by eating this way. So, I would anticipate that if you continue to, go down the path you're going, that the type 2 diabetes meds are well within your sights. So we'll just, I look forward to hearing how that comes along.
Well, and I grew up in Wisconsin. I was born in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and the cheese capital, and so that wasn't the easiest thing to say goodbye to. And what I learned was that goat cheese is sometimes tolerable for people who can't tolerate dairy. So every now and again, if I'm really feeling that Wisconsin urge, and I can't have the cheese curds or the cheddar or all the others, I might have a little bit of goat cheese. So, but, when your pain goes away, it's the thing that makes it all worthwhile. When you're laying in bed and you can't roll over and you can't move everything hurts. You roll over and your elbow hurts, your hips hurt, your neck, everything. That is no way to live, and not for me at least. And so giving up cheese is a small price to pay. I had enough of it. I'm 61. I've had enough cheese.
That's it. Enough cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, TJ. It's been very interesting and enjoyable to chat with you, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day once the world resumes international travel and it's safe for us to go from Sydney to the US. We're wanting to visit Asheville. It's one of our favorite places. We've talked of buying a property there if we could afford it, and also
you can find it.
Spend enough time it's expensive.
Well, they're being everybody's moving here. Yeah.
It's a beautiful place in the States for great outdoor living, great food, vegan options. It's really, really good. So perhaps we'll end up there, but right now it's on our to-do list, and hopefully meet you next time we visit. So thanks for sharing your beautiful story. It's been wonderful, and I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you so much for having me. What an honor. I feel honored to be on your podcast. So thank you.